Hi, welcome to Skill Talk, the Soft Skills Success Show. My name is Michelle Lee, the founder of Soft Skills for STEM.
And you know what? You can't be trying to put your mess on somebody else. We don't get down like that. As a matter of fact, we got a Duncan Nugget. This Duncan Nugget says, never let other people's mess get in the way of your success. We kind of know what we're going to talk about because we know we're going to the Virgin Islands. So you want to check out that episode for sure. And until then, be safe, be well, and be blessed.
Dunkin' Nuggets. Boom. Hi, welcome to Skill Talk, the Soft Skills Success Show. My name is Michelle B. Lee, the founder of Soft Skills for STEM, and my co-host Al Duncan in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. I'm here. I'm hyped up as always. You know I'm crazy.
Yes. So I guess this is fall now.
It's the fall. The time is going fast on one hand and slow on the other. Like I just got finished telling you, yeah, time is going by, but I'm tired of being a teacher's aide. I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole corona quarantine, kids half in school, half out of school. The thing is bananas. But anyway, that's all right, because I get the chance to practice my soft skills on my children. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it has happened
And
a
you know,
lot.
yeah, and I've been basically telecommuting and also going into the office and, talking about adjustment. But the other day, my sister sent me a funny quote. And it
Okay.
says, I always give 100% at work. 1% on Monday, 23%
What?
on Tuesday, 40% on Wednesday, 20% on Thursday, and 5% on Friday.
Oh my goodness.
That sounds about right, right?
That sounds about right for most people, 100%. But they're gonna divide that thing up. That remind me. I used to hear that all the time, especially when I used to be an executive chef. You say, "We pay you. You work hard enough, just enough, so we don't fire you, and we pay you just enough so you don't quit." So yeah, that thing is crazy though. It's so funny because the whole thing about are you working hard or you're not working hard, are you dedicated or are you not dedicated, you know what, that thing is crazy. It comes down to that word we wanted to talk about today. What was that word anyway?
Perception.
Perception. It's still a matter of perception, because as soon as you hear it, I give 100% at work. Now you got different people who hear that differently. The first when I hear something like that, the first thing I'm thinking is like, man, get out of there. I don't believe that. I just I don't care. Most people have a hard time convincing me you give 100% at work. Some people hear you give 100% at work and they were like, good job, good for you. And I don't think I would have ever thought of that whole breakdown of percentages thing. But that 5% on Friday definitely sounds about right to me.
Yeah, it's like a ghost town. And then on Monday, they say never have a meeting on Monday.
Right.
Tuesday, Wednesday. A lot of stuff happens up on Wednesday,
Yeah.
Monday and then Thursday. And I guess, yeah. But I give 100% every day.
Of course you do. but of course you do. Well, we know that's right. You're going above and beyond.
That's why I give 110%.
There you go. That's right.
You know what? That might be my perception versus my management perception.
This is true. That's what I'm saying. It's always a challenge when you're dealing with perception. People love to say perception is reality, but I'm like, yeah, but reality ain't always facts. So it just really depends on what's going on. But regardless of how you feel about perception, or whether you think 100% effort is what you're really giving, or somebody thinks you're not giving 100% effort, it doesn't matter. Either way, you got to navigate that thing. People still become successful, or they still become unsuccessful, or get opportunities or lose out on opportunities based on how they manage and deal with perception. So I think it's extremely important. you know eh,
It is, and it goes back to, our series that we've been talking about.
that's
So
right.
we've been talking about the self-management and
That's right.
professionalism cluster.
Hmm.
And so far we've done adaptability.
That's right. We talked about adaptability because we talked about self-management and professionalism, and adaptability, of course, was a big part of that. Being able to adapt to our, especially to our current circumstances that we're dealing with.
And then we did one, the last one was professionalism. So we talked about the A's of professionalism.
The A's.
We're
Hey.
not going to name them here, but if you want to go back, go check out August.
That's right. You will see the A's of professionalism.
Yes, we give 5 A's of professionalism.
Yep.
And, you know, so we're just going to continue this self-management and professionalism cluster with perception, which I think is a big part of it.
Yep, I think so. And of course, just to make sure everybody's clear, you know, we always talk about having proficiency in the cluster. Not saying you got to master every single skill that's in the group, or that you need to master, you know, or try to, you know, be the world's best at every single soft skill. That would be crazy. It doesn't work that way for everybody, but for anybody, it doesn't work that way for anybody at all. Nobody's a master of all soft skills, but you want to be proficient in these areas, right? Because that's going to help you not only get jobs and internships and scholarships, but helps you get promotions and help you keep your job, helps you do well when you're starting your own businesses or you're growing your own businesses. So proficiency in this cluster enables you to exhibit the behaviors, attitudes, and character traits that you need to achieve your desired outcomes while you conduct yourself in a manner that is on par with the highest standards of your role or position. All right. And so perception plays a big role in that, definitely a big role in that. And, you know, just to be clear, you know, self-perception is the awareness, you know, or comprehension or understanding of something, right? And Dr. Lee and I, we were working this out before we even came on. We were like, well, we don't want to give a dictionary definition. We wanted to give a functional definition of perception. So here are a few bullet points for you. The other one is that perception shapes our experiences of the world around us, and it's affected by your unconscious bias. That means nobody's perception is 100% accurate to what is going on, because it's all about your unconscious bias, your filters, and things of that nature. But these are very important. Awareness, comprehension, or understanding of something, how it shapes your experiences of the world around you, and it's affected by your biases. Just always remember that when it comes to perception, you know, and I think that goes a long way. And I know you experience that a lot, right?
I do. So, you know, working in the workplace, and I'm at Los Alamos National Laboratory, the world premier, you know, laboratory in the nation. And I work with all types of people. And we come from different backgrounds and just, you know, international. So, but you got to be aware. And what I understand, we're looking at the same thing, but we're all seeing different things. Just like how you could say the same thing and people will interpret it differently. And so our perception is based on our background, our culture, you know, our experiences and how we view things. And so there might be, especially when we talk about diversity in the workplace and why it's so important, when there's a problem that needs to be solved, well, we're probably going to solve it differently because of our perception. And they see the value of that, you know, when it comes to diversity, because if they want to, you know, be competitive and keep that competitive advantage, that edge, you know, in what we do, we need to learn how to solve problems differently and have people who think differently. So that's where that comes from, that, you know, that perception. So looking at perception, and I have to say this, let me tell you this, a long time ago, a coworker told me, he said, Michelle, I don't care what the truth is. He says, perception is more important. You know, perception versus truth. If somebody perceives something and it's not even true, it's more dangerous than, you know, what's actually there, you know, somebody's perception. So you really need to watch, you know, how you watch what you do.
Yeah.
And how you want to be perceived.
Yes, because whether you're a threat or not, if you're perceived as one, people tend to proceed in that manner, and that's unfortunate. And when I say a threat, I mean it could be physically, or it could be just job wise. Like somebody thinks you coming after their title, or you're trying to get a promotion, or work them out of a job. I mean, it doesn't. That's the most challenging thing. You know, one of my favorite Duncan Nuggets that I'm always quoting is, a person's definition of you does not define you, and I absolutely believe that is true. The challenging counter argument to that, and I'm always careful because Duncan Nuggets, even for me, I say none of this works in a vacuum. It's not absolute truth anywhere, you know. And so, but on the other side, you know, perceptions play a big role in things. You know, the way a person perceives you, they might not get to define you, but unfortunately, it does have a lot to do with opportunities you may get or not get, what type of situations you end up in or get out of, you know, or things of that nature. So, of course, that's always a challenge, and savvy, successful people understand that, and they know how to navigate through perception. They understand the different types of perceptions. You know, let's break those down too. Let's break those two.
Yeah, so let me go before we start this.
Uh-huh.
So in the workplace, people formulate a perception about you through your actions.
Hold on. Say it again. Well, say it again. Say it again.
They formulate this perception about you through your actions.
Mm-hmm.
They watch you. They watch what you say.
Right.
And they watch what you do. I mean, just all that. So now it goes back to the types of perception, which is real simple.
Right. And what I'm gonna stay where you at for a second too, because when you say they watching your actions, you know, and that's the challenging part, is because your actions could be perceived differently, or your motivations behind your actions can be perceived differently depending on who's looking at them, and, you know, and their particular perceptions or their filters about things. So this is why it's always challenging to deal with this. And I'm always careful about saying, you know, you're never going to please everybody, and that's fine. I'm just saying you need to handle situations the way they need to be handled so that you don't come out on the losing end. That's the bottom line. And
Okay.
if you learn, go ahead. What were you going to say, Shell? I couldn't hear you.
Let me give you an example.
Go ahead.
Okay. So there's an intern that I had, and they said that he was lazy.
Okay.
Okay. So I said, how did you come to that? Because you never really interacted with that intern. Okay.
Okay.
And this intern, this was it. Well, he's always in the office. This intern was actually sitting in my office. So every time management came down, they saw him in my office. And they didn't come down very often, but they thought he should have been out. But he did go out in the field with my technicians. He did do a lot of things. They never came and they interacted. They just basically used one type of perception to formulate this opinion about him, saying he was lazy. And I was like, no. If you come and talk, this is all the work that he's done. And see,
right.
They never, you know, so this is where perception, you know, you have the bias and stuff. They just look, they didn't even bother to go and find out, you know, like everything.
Yeah.
And so that's going to lead to another skill talk. You know, get all the information before you formulate an opinion about somebody or something or a situation. You need to have all the facts. But they just use the one type of perception, and they just use that one. Every time they just saw him in the office.
Now, see, that's interesting, because that's making me think, when we talk about unconscious biases, that right there reminds me of confirmation bias. They clearly already were making certain assumptions, you know, about this young man, and then whatever he was producing or whatever he was doing, whatever behavior he was exhibiting, was just confirming what they originally believed anyway. And that's the challenging thing with confirmation bias and things of that nature, is that people's actions and behaviors tend to confirm whatever you thought it was going to be to begin with. You know, you're like, oh, I knew it. I knew this person was like that, or I knew they were going to be this way, you know. And it works the same way on the opposite end. They found that, you know, there's a famous experiment where it teaches that thought students were going to be successful, or that these students were supposed to be the smart, great, successful students, they treated those students differently. And those students actually did perform better just because the teachers had the perception and thought they were supposed to perform better. So you have to be very careful with this, and it's a challenging, murky waters to navigate, and hopefully you all to take some of these tips and they will help you navigate dealing with perception in your own life as well. Oh, you were getting ready to break down the types of perceptions as well, right?
Yeah. So we
Okay.
go,
Let me
yeah,
pull them up. Go ahead.
it's really simple. And
All
it,
right.
it comes down to what we've learned in elementary school, the five senses.
Okay. Oh, so vision, touch, right?
Sound,
Sound,
taste,
taste.
and smell.
Okay.
And
So
so
these are,
what I was talking about was the vision.
that's what they
Okay.
saw.
That's what they saw. So for example, I even got accused of that. I was kept saying, you need to go out in the field, that's like, why is this lady saying this? And then it came back to, well, all she is, she's in her office. Well, look, my work dictated me to be in my office. You gave me a lot of administrative stuff to do, okay?
Yeah.
But I did go out in the field. I actually came to work early, and I went into the plant and did my rounds, talked to my customers before you even came to work. And this is talking about a manager, And so therefore, he never saw that part of that. Well, she'll never go in the plant, or she might go in the plant. And I was like, if you go pull, I was in the plant every day. I was at work. That was like the first thing I did to make sure that everything was okay, and then come out and actually do my work.
Yeah.
And it's all, like I said, it was just the vision. Is what they saw.
It's
So
all what they saw.
it's all what they saw.
So, the funny thing is, because we can talk about this, of course, we want to talk about it in terms of work and success in general. But I'm just saying, I'm always thinking about food too. Man, this thing apply to food. Because I'm telling you, you can bring me a plate of food and visually that thing looks nice. I'm looking at it. The vision is there. It looks like it's going to be delicious, right? It might even smell like it's going to be delicious. And I grab the plate is hot. I can hear it sizzling and everything. But when I taste it, what have you done to me, right? It completely changes everything. So these types of perceptions work together, and you got to be very careful. They will throw things off very quickly.
Yeah, so we talked about vision, and that was funny. And I think I told you the story about the pecan pie.
Oh, you did
That,
tell me that.
that pie was looking good. And this is how I learned. I said, now when you offer me something, I take a little slither of it, because I had grabbed this pie, looked so good.
Yep.
And then I took a big piece. I might have had a fourth of the pie. That got flushed down the toilet. But to make a long story short, that pecan pie was made with sorghum syrup. I didn't know that after the fact, and it
No,
was
no, no. Hold on, wait a minute. Say, what kind of syrup is that again? Tell them what kind of syrup that is.
sorghum
Everybody know what that
syrup. I
is.
didn't even know. When I told my mom about that pie, she said she must have made that pie with sorghum syrup. I was like, yeah, it
With
was.
sargon syrup.
Yes, it was. I'm just saying, it was.
Not tasting good. Not sweet enough at all.
Yeah, so I was sitting there at the table doing some stuff, and then eventually it made it into a napkin, and then I said, let me go to the bathroom, and I flushed it.
Right. And see, that's when you capitalize on perception right there. Because see, they had the perception that you enjoyed it and that it tasted good and that you were just going up to go to the bathroom, but they didn't know you was going to get rid of that thing.
That's exactly
That's
it.
funny.
And I'm not going to out, it was a family member, it was a long time ago, but what that taught me was everything that looked good might not taste good.
That's
So
true.
I'll take a little bit, and then, okay, if the taste is cool, I'm like, okay, let me go,
Yeah.
And then we talk about, smell and vision. So smell, it's like, where does smell come from? Yeah, we just all here. We don't have to go into order or whatever, because these things, like you said,
Yeah.
they all go together.
They do.
We have some people at work.
Mm.
I can tell
I'm
you.
frowning up my face. I don't even know them, and I'm frowning up my face just for this, just thinking about the fact that they might smell jacked up.
Yeah, and I could go back and talk about when I went to Grambling State and we had a professor, and I was like, what's this smell? I mean, the smell was so overbearing. I thought it
Okay.
was sweet. But I just got off the shower before coming to class. And I'm like, what's this smell? And then eventually I was able to figure out what the smell was. And so I'm talking among my classmates, about, our professor and this smell. And they was like, well, maybe, it's a cultural thing. And I'm like, no, smell is universal.
Yeah, certain smells got to be universal. I'm with you. So, like some things. Now, I understand there might be there might be a little wiggle room culturally about what types of cologne, perfume, if you wear any or not, or what type of deodorant is available, whatever. But I'm just saying, it just seems to me, I'm not sure that there's a threshold. There comes a line, and when you cross that line, you need to know you have crossed the line.
And you know what? And what was so funny about it, I'm not going to really go and say, because the professor might actually be deceased now.
Okay.
But he had the nerves to talk to us about, being professional and dressing and, having an iron shirt on and all this. And and I just couldn't believe the conversation. It was in, one of my physics classes. It was actually my mechanics class. And then after that, I said, first of all, you can have on a nice suit, and it can be an iron shirt. You can have on a tie. But first of all, you got to take care of that odor before you put on.
Yeah.
Because it basically negates everything.
It really does. It completely changed the perception of the situation. And the thing is, now understand what we're talking about. We're sometimes, and sometimes you can have on too much of what you think smells good and have a very similar effect, And so I think the lesson in all this is that just because you're generating or helping people have a certain perception based on one of the five senses, be careful to make sure everything else is in alignment. And I think that's where a lot of people messed up. You might come in smelling good, but your clothes don't look like you should work here. So you smell great, but but you don't look the part like you need to work here, or maybe you're not speaking the part or sounding that way. Everything needs to line up. And perception is real fragile. It can change. It doesn't always change, but it's funny. Here it is. Perception is very fragile. It's subject to change, very quickly, or break and completely get shattered. Or perception can be so strong it's almost impossible to change, because some people have certain perceptions or stereotypes or biases about certain people or certain professions or certain types of music or certain types of clothing or certain types of food, that it is almost impossible to change their beliefs and their values around that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell y'all real quick, in case you're wondering what's really driving your perception, we were talking about this offline too. They are your filters. So here are your major filters. There's all kind of small filters, but the major ones for most people are there's your beliefs. This is what you believe, just what you've been raised believing, things you believe in general, right? There are your values, okay? And then there are your experiences. So you got beliefs, values, and experiences, and anything that you go through tends to get filtered through those three things first before you start formulating your perceptions about it. So therefore, if you believe successful people look a certain way, right, and you value a certain type of dress code, and in your experience, people who dress that way have been successful people, and you see someone who does not look like that, then guess what's going to happen with your perception? You're going to immediately start putting somebody into a different category, which may or may not work, because it depends. It depends. Are we talking about Wall Street? We're talking about Silicon Valley. Two totally different ways, and so just remember that, in case you're wondering, it is your beliefs, your values, and your experiences are like three major filters that everything goes through first before you start formulating your perceptions.
Yes, and then the big one in the workplace where a lot of organizations have problems with their employees: communication.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. Because Gandhi said, when you communicate, you tell the world who you are.
That's
And I'm
exactly.
paraphrasing, but basically he's like, when you open your mouth, you know what I'm saying? That's when opinions get formulated. It's extreme, very quickly, and it's understandable. And the reason it's understandable is because you understand the world we're living in, and the billions of stimuli that we are bombarded with at any given moment in time. I'm not even talking about the man-made ones like the commercials and all the waves in the air, and then and if you're in traffic and there's a thousand other cars around you, you're trying to watch TV and look at the internet and answer your phone and all this at the same time. There's enough extra stimuli that humans have created on their own that we've added to the puzzle. I'm just talking about in nature, period. We've been bombarded with billions of stimuli at any point in time, and there's no way our brains can process that stuff. And so your brain starts to filter that out on purpose so that you don't go crazy, so that you can have something that your cognitive load can handle and begin to make sense of the situation. So it's natural for that to occur. You just gotta understand it and try to, from your point of view, really take charge of that. As I said earlier, exceptional people have this aspect of their lives. They understand it, and they understand that it's always a dance. Things are always moving, and we always working to deal and manage with perceptions.
Yes, and so I'm thinking we're gonna continue this conversation of perception, because I mean there's a lot. But
You're right.
one thing that we always preach about, Al, is social media.
Okay.
A lot of the perception about you comes from what you post.
Oh yeah.
You see, it goes back to that vision and that stuff. People go back and they see the things that you post and repost and you share, and that formulates an opinion.
It does.
So on my social media account, I'm very careful, because they tell you in the workplace that with things that you don't talk about your salary, you don't talk about religion, and you don't talk about politics.
Wait a minute, hold on. Say it again. Say it again, because somebody needs to hear that. Because every day, somebody getting fired or losing a job or losing an opportunity or getting canceled, right? Because of one of these things right here. Go ahead. What is it again?
You do not talk about money,
right?
And you do not talk about. And I just had this brain. You don't talk about religion, and you don't talk about politics.
That's right. Money, religion, and politics. Then you're like, come on, Al, that's the whole juicy gossip, man. That's TMZ whole thing. What are you talking about? I understand that. If that's your business, that's a different story. But we're talking about if you are a entry-level employee, young person trying to build up your business or build up your career, something along those lines, or even a seasoned professional, and you want to keep your job. All I'm telling you is, when you wade into those waters, it's at your own peril, because sooner or later, you're going to be stepping on somebody's toes, and depending on the protections you have in place, or what's going on, it could cause you a type of pain, a type of pain in the butt that you don't necessarily need. That does not mean you be afraid to speak your mind and things of that nature. I want to be careful. We ain't trying to make y'all skittish or punkish. We ain't saying that, right? But at the same time, we're saying be smart also. People get fired, lose opportunities, lose career opportunities, money making opportunities all the time based on those three areas right there. You got to be careful.
Yes, and so I'm very careful.
Is that a company policy, by the way?
It's not. They're not supposed to be doing that, but they come and they look, and then of course there's people from my job who are my friends on Facebook.
Right.
Okay, and so I'm very aware. Even in my job, I don't do that. I don't do it on social media.
Gotcha.
Because now they're posting their religious affiliation, the political affiliation, and people see that. And I'm gonna tell you, people are strong. They feel strong about those subjects. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're not paying us to talk about that and debate that stuff in the workplace.
Gotcha.
So I say stay away from those conversations. If it's not, you can have simple water cooler, conversations or whatever, but you need to keep it professional and, to your job.
That makes sense, because that all has to do, and we put this up there last episode too, but it applies because it's so apropos for this whole cluster right here. We're gonna put it back up here again, because everything she's talking about is about personal branding, and personal brand is representation of you in the minds of other people. It's the perception that people have about your character, as well as the quality and the value of what you do. And unfortunately, things that you post, even some of your opinions and things of that nature, just understand it's gonna have an impact. And it's not for us to tell you, carefully. We're not saying exactly when, because we can't tell. I don't know you. Like you know you, right? I can't say exactly when you should and should not. Now, if you're working for the lab with Dr. Lee, then we can tell you probably with more certainty we can say when you should and should not. If post certain things. If you're a young student, you're in college, man, that is the time for activism and things of that nature. So maybe you want to make a stand on certain issues. I'm just saying, always understand that because of perception, everything comes with a cost. There's always a reaction. There's always the equal and opposite reaction to anything you do, and just understand that so that you're not completely blindsided about certain things that can happen. And I'm just very careful about letting things mess with my livelihood, mess with my career, mess with my business, like it mess with my family. And certain places I'm not gonna go because it cripples me and keeps me from being able to do the things that I do best and really being able to make a positive contribution like I want to. So just be careful. That's all we're saying. Just navigate these waters carefully.
That's it. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. And like you said, we're gonna get back to this perception again in the next episode. We're not done yet. We'll have some more fun with it. I'll give y'all a sneak peek. It has something to do, with words, and since we started touching on communication, we're going to talk about that a little bit more because, that's one of the biggest places where perception it comes into play, and that is communication, especially in the world of work and what types of phrases and things you're saying. So we'll jump into that next episode. Make sure you show up. Is there anything else we need to talk to them about?
No, I think we covered that.
I think so too, and I think we see, and this is where you learn when you're having a good show that there's other thing that's a matter of perception, that is time. So we like to keep things short, sweet, and simple to the point because we don't want you to have a perception of they're gonna talk our heads off, right? And we don't do boring. So with that, we're about to check out, and we will see y'all on the next episode. Hey, my name is Al Duncan on behalf of Dr. Michelle B. Lee. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Skill Talk. Until then, be safe, be well, and be blessed.
Nugget.
Boom.